us as leaders and entrepreneurs and work directly with the corporate team in our certifications and things of that nature. Today, I wanted to talk about getting to the yes. So this training is getting to the yes. How to maximize your success. How many of you were here last Monday when we did our little training last Monday? Anybody that was here? Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of sharing some of what I said last week because I see that many of us are new as far as this particular training. Getting to the yes. One of the things I want to tell you is that if you want to become an expert in anything that requires some level of salesmanship, right? Some level of salesmanship. I want you not to focus more so on the yes, but on the no. Now, I know I just messed everybody up. I know. And let me tell you why. And she got that big smile like, what you talking about, Willis? Here is why. I want you to focus on 100 no's. I want you to focus on 100 no's. Because watch this. As you are presenting and as you are dialoguing and as you are sharing, every no prepares you for the yes. Are y'all understanding that? Because once you start getting them no's, you're going to get what we call standard SEO, standard client objections, right? So they're going to be objecting. It's going to help you to understand some of their whys, their pains, their fears, their desires. Is this making sense? Mm-hmm. And so every time you get that no, it's going to prepare you for the yes. Why? Because you've heard that no before. Does that make sense? Yeah. The second thing that going after no's is going to get you is going to help you get freed up from rejection. Mm-hmm. What does that make sense? Because nobody wants the door to be closed in their face. Right. Nobody wants to continue to be told no unless that is your intention. So you see the psychology behind it. You see the mentality of it. Oh, she gave me a no, so I am reaching my goal. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to find as you're going after your 100 no's, it's going to become more and more difficult because you're going to get yeses in along the way. Does that make sense? And so I learned that. Give you a little bit of background about myself. I've been in sales all of my entire life. I started my first business when I was 9 years old. Literally, it was a bona fide business at 9. And so I've been the general sales manager of WVON Radio. I've been the general sales. I was 24 years old at the time. I was the general sales manager of WJYS Television. I was 30 at the time. I was senior account exec and sales manager for WYBA, CA, and AA. I was 19 at the time. So as you can see, I've been around sales and training salespeople for more than half of my life, as I'm only 43 now. And so the reality is, I used to get frustrated because everyone would tell me no. And it was not until I decided, you know what? If I go after 100 no's, eventually I'll get to the yes. And that became my strategy. And it worked. And it became more and more difficult to get people to tell me no because I was so accustomed to all of the objections and all of the things that they would do that I began to get more yeses. Does that make sense? Yes. Now you heard it now. Now that kind of makes sense as to why I'm telling you to go after 100 no's. And so, because if you go after 100 no's, you're going to eventually get to your yes, and you're ultimately going to maximize your success. Now, during our last training, one of the things I said is I want you to identify 100 people. Well, literally it's 200 people. The first 100 people are people that have the potential to be customers, right? And the second 100 people are people that have the potential to be business builders, right? And so why do you want us to separate the two? Because 95% of all healthy business relationship is relationship. The other 5% is business. Does that make sense? So people do business with people they like and or have a relationship with. So you don't want to, so when you're looking through your contacts, The fact that they're in your phone suggests that you have some type of relationship with them. So I don't want you to engage them in a cookie cut way. I want you to engage them from the perspective of the relationship. Does that make sense? So, for example, me being in business for over 30 years, I have a lot of contacts in my phone that are business people. So when I approach them, I am approaching them from a business perspective. And they're going to understand it, and they're going to be open to it. They're going to receive it because I know their DNA is entrepreneurial. Does that make sense? Now, on the opposite end, I know a bunch of sick people. I know a bunch of people that is in pain. I know a bunch of people that have anxiety issues. Right? And here, let me just be honest, y'all. I know a bunch of people that smoke weed. Right?
Don't we all?
So based on the relationship determines how I approach them. I don't just approach everybody from the perspective of, hey, guess what? I got this new company that I'm with and everybody's going crazy and we're making a lot of money and all of that. Because some people, they're not going to listen to you because they're not interested in making money. Whereas this weekend, during the Thanksgiving holiday, I had my little pack with me and I was selling on the spot. Cousin was walking around like this and he a business guy, but his back was out of alignment. So, bam, sold him some gummies and sold him the topical cream. Tried to ease the opportunity into him. He said, bro, I ain't interested in all that, but just keep that stuff coming from me. So he's that customer. Are y'all understanding? And you have to know who's who. Now, so when you're navigating your list, you want to make certain you understand who you're talking to. Does that make sense? The other thing that you want to make certain that you don't do is that you want to make certain that you do not just jump right in. And people that you haven't talked to in a million years, you pick up the phone, hey, I'm in this new opportunity. Nope, they're going to shut it down, right? So you want to build how you doing, what's going on, and then approach it from a question perspective, right? I teach that whoever asks the most questions wins. Does that make sense? Whoever asks the most questions wins. If you ask the right questions, people will tell you how to sell them. Does that make sense? So here's the deal. How do I approach it? Hey, listen, what do you think about this CBD thing? I just casually ask. And they're going to begin to talk. They're going to tell you if they are for it. Oh, man, I've been thinking about that. I need to get into it. They're going to tell you if against it. No, I think that's all bad. I'm not being bothered. Y'all understand? Or they're going to tell you, I don't know much about it. I don't smoke. And then you start having those conversations based on the questions that you are asking. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. That's how you navigate your list, whether it's your list where people are dealing with pain, or if it's your list where people are looking for the opportunity. Then you're going to have another type of person that you'll talk to from a business standpoint. I'm not interested in becoming a distributor per se. But I'm interested in collecting a check and investing. How many of you have heard that one? You know what? That's how I sold my $16.99 or $15.99 packs this weekend. I called business people that I knew did not have enough time to get out here and do the whole MLM portion of it. But they like the idea of getting a shared percentage of a company in the cannabis industry. And for them, the entry, investment was low enough where it was a no-brainer. Does that make sense? Yeah. I called one of my business partners, said, hey man, listen, you got to jump on this. And I almost forgot. Phyllis called and said, hey, where's your packs? I don't see nothing coming in. Phyllis, he gonna get you. So I started making calls. I was out at one of my properties with my roofer, who just so happened to smell like weed. And I said, man, this smell like you like weed. Your whole crew feel like they did. I can't even get mad at you. It's halfway legal now, right? And so he started laughing. I started laughing. He did a good job. I said, man, I got an opportunity for you. Phyllis will tell you right there in the backyard, in the code. I got Phyllis on the phone. She put them in for the $15.99 pack. He didn't know what the heck he was signing up for. He knew two things. It was weed and 1%. It was cannabis. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to meet people where they are. And sometimes I think we get into where we're overselling them. Yeah. If we understand where they are and meet them where they are, then they'll give us what we want. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And they'll begin to ask you the questions. And as they're asking you the questions and you providing the information, you're providing information based on the questions they're asking to lead them to the close. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, so one of the things that you have to do is when getting to the yes, is you must understand that the first yes starts with you. You must tell yourself yes. Right? No matter how many, and what that means is you must believe. You must believe in three things. The first and foremost, you must believe in the product that you're selling. Because if you don't believe in the product that you're selling, then you're not going to do well in selling it. I don't care how good of a salesperson you are. I can't sell nothing I'm not passionate about. Right? So you must believe in the product. Number two, you must believe in the company that you're representing. Yes. Are y'all understanding? Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to keep on going. Mm-hmm. But if you start doubting yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, then nobody's going to believe in you. True. Does that make sense? Yes. If you can't convince yourself that this is good and you're good at what you're doing, then you're not going to be able to convince someone else. So the first yes, say the first yes, starts with me. You got to understand that everything starts with you. That's right. You're in this room because you made an investment or you're thinking about making an investment, right? But if you don't make the investment, you can never get the return. Does that make sense? If you don't sow the seed, you'll never reap the harvest. So everything starts with you taking action. And that's how you move from I have faith in this company, which is a matter of the heart, to I believe in this company, which is the matter of the mind. Are y'all seeing that? Faith states a position, right? I got faith. They're a good company. But belief causes an action. Yeah. So when you believe in something, you act upon it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so that means when these different promo packs come out and different things like that, you lead from the front. Because most people are going to ask you, have you done it? Yeah. Have you tried it? How much money have you made? Is it working for you? Does that make sense? These are the questions they're going to ask. And if you start stuttering, well, I got to wait on my check to come. And so I'm going to miss out this year, but I'm going to do it next year. They're going to say, well, I'm going to wait next year and do it with you. Are y'all understanding? So you got to make the investment. Say, I must make the investment. I must make the investment. There is no return. There is no return. If there's no investment. If there's no investment. So you got to make the investment. You got to make the investment in your time. You got to make the investment with your money. Do y'all understand? You got to make the investment. Yes. The next thing, when it comes to the first yes comes from you, is that you have to say yes for the long term. That means you must commit. Say, I must commit. I must commit. You got to say yes for the long term. This is not something that we're looking to get rich on. I'm going to tell you a little secret. The 1%, it's a 1% shared revenue pool. It's 1% of the revenue, which is good because that's not the profit. Mm-hmm. So I invested in the founder members pack because I was anticipating the company becoming a $100 million, $200 million company. Is that making sense? Yeah. I wasn't investing based on where we are. Because where we are is temporary. Yeah. I was investing based on where we're going. Yeah. Are y'all seeing that? Amen. So I'm not making the investment for today. Yeah. I'm making the investment for tomorrow, which means I plan on being here tomorrow. Are y'all understanding that? Yeah. You have to make the investment for the long term. Because if you don't, and that's with any investments. Any investments you make. Listen, there is no such thing as overnight success. You just saw it. It just all of a sudden happened. But some of us had been tilling and working the ground for a long time, and then all of a sudden, for everybody else, it was a success, but they don't know what you had to go through behind the scene. Warren Buffett, he didn't just become one of the richest men on the planet. It took some time. So Bill Gates, it took some time. Are y'all understanding? So if you're going to do this thing, you got to do the right thing long enough, consistent enough, in order for it to be enough. Does that make sense? Do the right thing long enough, consistent enough, and it will eventually be enough. But you got to do it. The right things. And we're talking about some of the right things we must do. If you don't have your top 200, 100 for business, 100 for people that can become customers, we're not doing the right thing. Are y'all seeing that? If we're not posting in our social media and all of those different platforms that we have and plugging into those networks, then we're not doing the right thing. So if you do the right thing consistent enough, long enough, it will eventually be enough. So number one, we must first say yes to ourselves. We must believe. Number two, everything starts with you as an investor. You must make the investment. Number three, say yes for the long term. You must make the commitment. Now watch this. Number four, say yes to the process. You have to say yes to the process. We have a CEO who has been there, done that. So she's laying out the process for us. We have our senior vice president of sales and marketing who's been there, done that. Listen, I've been hanging around Phyllis forever. You know, she knows the process. She knows what it takes to get to Diamond Star 2 and all of those different levels. They are achievable, but you have to work the process. Because if you don't work the process, here's the secret. The process will not work. Are y'all understanding that? You must say yes to the process. And part of that is, hey, here, today to be in training. That's saying yes to part of the process. Let's throw some parties at our homes. We didn't set the whole party pack up for you. Make that investment. Get the party pack. Have people come to your homes. And you understand what I'm saying? Say yes to the process. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that process. And then the last thing is, I want you to say yes to your freedom. And that's living the kind of life you want to live without the consideration of cost. I felt bad because I was in these clothes. And so I told them, I said, y'all can put me on Facebook. I'm not dressed appropriately. But I didn't have time haven't been home overnight. I haven't had time to get home. I had a suit on. Son needed me down at school. But because I say yes to freedom, I don't have to call, take off work, use a sick day. I go sit by my baby. Right. And then I'm looking at the time, well, I could come as I am. I've done presentations like this in a swimsuit. Y'all think I'm playing? That's my freedom. Why? It was a hot day. I decided to cancel all the meetings and take all my kids to the beach. And we hung out at the beach. And then I had to get to a 7 o'clock presentation. And the traffic was like 3 hours bagged up. So I had to come straight from Indiana, straight to the city in swim trunks and flip-flops. We closed 80% of the room that night. Why? Because that's my freedom. You have your freedom. What freedom means to you? For me, it's being available to be a family man. That's my freedom. It's going on field trips. It's going on, doing those type of things. It's going to the parent conferences, just jumping in the car, going to basketball games and all that. That's my freedom. And I said yes to my freedom. But in order for me to say yes to my freedom, I had to say first yes to myself, which means say I must believe. Say it again, I must believe. Number two, I understood I had to make the investment, say I must invest.
I must invest.
Number three, I had to make the commitment, say I must commit.
I must commit.
And number four, I had to say yes to the work. I must do the work.
Must do the work.
Say it again, I must do the work. Say it again, I must do the work.
I must do the work.
Let me help some of the people that go to church on Tuesdays. Faith without works. Are y'all understanding? You got to work your faith in order for your faith to work. It's a principle. And then you say yes to your freedom. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So 4 things you must do. to be successful. One of them we talked about. Create your top 200 list. 100 is for your business people. Another one is for your customers. And guess what you're always doing? You're always updating your list. Does that make sense? Your list is always being updated. Now, here's another piece. It's not who you know, it's who you get to know. How y'all understand it? Because you'll write down and you'll get your list together, and eventually you're going to exhaust that list. Set some goals. Say, hey, listen, I want to call XYZ amount of people on my list every day. I want to send out XYZ amount of Facebook or social media messages every day, right? Set some goals. Eventually, you're going to exhaust that list. So what you have to do is continue to update, which means it's not who you know. Say it's not who you know.
It's not who you know.
It's who you get to know.
It's who you get to know.
How many of you have ever been in a situation, in a room like this, and you were thought about telling somebody, and you never got to telling that somebody, and then all of a sudden you saw that somebody in the room that, and you didn't invite him?
Ouch.
Are y'all understanding what I'm saying?
Yes.
I saw so many people in this room. My business partner.
Yeah.
My business partner. We talk about business every day. I never thought about telling him about the business. His wife's friend told him about the business. And watch this. Here's how it go. I'm just telling you how it go. One of his friends' wives came to a Super Saturday that I was speaking at. Watch this. I'm speaking at the Super Saturday. I'm the one giving the presentation. And it was somebody else that was in the room that shared the information with them 5 weeks later. And my partner called and said, hey, what's the name of that company you associated with? I said, Wakanna. He said, yeah, me and my wife is over here, and they was just talking about you doing the Super Saturday. I told him he was my business partner. My wife about to sign up. Are y'all seeing how that go?
Yeah.
I ain't feel bad about it because it's all good in the neighborhood, but I did feel bad about it.
Let's tell the truth. Tell the truth.
But that's the truth.
That's the truth.
Are y'all understanding that? That's the truth. So here's another term that I taught last week. I learned it early on in sales. It's called tabula rasa. Don't worry about that. It's a Latin word that means never assume anything.
That's good.
So here's a lot of times we look at people and we tell ourselves no before we ask for their yes. Because we assume that they're not interested. We assume that we're going to be wasting our time talking to them. Are y'all understanding that?
Yeah.
So don't tell everybody is a potential yes. Say that. Everybody is a potential yes. All right, does that make sense? Yes. Everybody's a potential yes. My 91-year-old grandma, how you doing? Well, my knees hurt today. I don't know if I'm trying to keep 1 minute, I'm trying to get rid of pain, and the next minute it's trying to catch up with me. So she got a relationship with pain.
Oh, yeah.
Are y'all seeing that? 91. Now, here's the dilemma. It's my grandma. I can't sell my grandma. I gotta just give it to her.
Take your head.
But she got friends.
Yeah, right.
And I don't care about that. I can sell it. So let me tell y'all that sound. Grandma, look, does that work for you, Grandma? That's good. Now do this. Do it hurt? Yeah, thank God. Yeah, now thank the topical cream. And then you say, Grandma, you got about 10 people that you know that's in pain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? So-and-so, she told me she couldn't get out of bed. Oh, really? I got some get out of bed cream. Whatever the issue is, you put the issue in front of it and end with cream. My toe hurt. I got the toe hurt cream. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? Because you meet people where they are.
Right.
Now, so 4 things you must do. Number 1, you can get that list and you got to keep updating. Number 2, you got to get involved in the conference calls, the Monday Matters, the Diamond Factory. Get involved. Wake up to Wakanna. All of that stuff. There's a myriad of opportunities for you to be trained, for you to be developed, and for you to get people plugged in. Take advantage of the opportunities. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying?
Yes.
Take advantage of the opportunities. Listen, somebody have to keep the time for me. See, like this guy. This guy right here, he's an electrician. He's done work for me. I didn't invite him here. Y'all see that? He's in the building. What's up, Mike? I just talked about that, right? I didn't invite him, but he's here. So, and he's in my contact list. Y'all see that? But I got about 3,000 folk in there. I just ain't got to him yet. But somebody got to me. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? That's
how it goes.
This works.
Yeah.
And listen, we are in the industry that is taking over. This is the next vehicle of wealth. It's right here. The real estate bubbled and popped, inflated, fell back and got back. Are y'all understanding that? Sure. .com came, it's boom. Right? This is the next piece. And we gotta make certain that we are never assuming that the person that we're connected to will be interested or not. We got to ask the question.
Yep.
Because if we don't ask the question, we'll never get the true answer. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, number one, as 4 things we must do to be successful, we must create that list and keep updating. Number 2, we must get involved in the conference calls, the webinars, all of the different events we have. Now, watch this. Number 3, we must invite. Y'all see that? And I'm going to talk about 5 ways to get your voice out. But we must invite. And here's the last piece. The 4th thing you must do is this. This is where I became a terrible salesperson. The fortune is in the follow-up. Mm-hmm. Are you guys understanding? Mm-hmm. Me, I call you once. Okay, you don't respond, I call you twice, I'm done. But it's that 3rd time that you got to call that you'll get that yes. How many of you received a call more than once before you said yes to Wakanna? You received a call more than once? Everybody else was, I'm in.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Man, what's y'all number? I want all y'all cousins. But the reality is, the fortune is in the follow-up. You got to understand the power of the drip. Mm-hmm. Here's the power of the drip. If I had a paper towel and some water, I'll show it to you in that regard. But if you just drop a little bit on them at a time, man, you know what? Whew. This month I made it to another level in Wakanna. Or I may wind up being able to fire my job after all. And you just dripping, right? Oh man, I had this pain, I put the cream on. You just dripping. Before you know it, whatever or whoever you're dripping on eventually is going to get wet. And eventually they're going to ask the question, or they're going to say, you know what, it's that time. Maybe you called them in a season where they were too busy. Maybe you called them in a season where they didn't need no money. Maybe. But then you catch them in the next season, I need a little extra money. I need to get my basement flooded. And I was in a flood zone, so the insurance didn't cover it. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So never, always, don't forget to follow up. Say that. Say, don't forget.
Don't forget
to follow up. To follow up. 5 ways to be heard. 5 ways to be heard. Here's the 5 ways. 5 ways for you to be heard is number 1, get to your in-home parties. Throw your parties. Because it's easier to get some friends to come over for pizza or whatever. You know, and you have some infused. Imagine this. You throw a little party, say, hey girls, hey guys, fellas, I got this business I'm really getting involved in, and what I like to see happen is I want you guys to come by and let me know what you think, right? That's the conversation. I want you to come by and let me know what you think, and then when they get there, you got a little tray full of gummies, you got a little, you got some infused brownies you done made, you know, whatever. And then you do the presentation. Let them sample it a little bit. Make certain while you're doing the presentation, you ask somebody if they got pain. Put the cream on for the pain. And the party pack is going to help guide you through that process, right? So you should at least try And I understand we got busy lives, so I won't be real aggressive. But if you said, hey, I want to do one a week, I want to do one a week. And you don't have to throw a real big party. Don't do a real big party. Because when you do a real big party, everybody's not in agreement. Are y'all seeing it? I know we want to maximize our potential and all of that stuff. But you don't want to be in a room where you got negative Nelly and someone else is ready to go and negative Nelly is coming with all this stuff and then all. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? So even if it's 4 or 5 people, maybe you do it once a week. Pick that Saturday afternoon, pick that Sunday afternoon, and do it once a week and say, hey, we're going to do this party. So that's number one. Another one is our focus groups. It's our focus groups. We talked about it. We got 3 opportunities for these focus groups in live and in person. We have Monday nights that we're working on developing on a consistent basis. We got Mondays, we got Thursday evenings, we got Saturday mornings, and then the way we're looking to do it, Monday during the day and in the evening. Y'all see that? So what's that? Four opportunities in a week to have some people come to be able to learn more about the industry that everybody's talking about. Are y'all understanding that? So you got to have, the next one is face-to-face, belly to belly. Try to have 2 belly to bellies every week. Just twice a week. 2 belly to bellies. Right? Now, here's the deal. What I used to tell my team when I was really doing a lot of this MLM stuff is this. Meet 2 people a day. Talk about the business to 2 people a day and try to get at least two appointments a week where you can sit down and talk one-on-one and give a presentation. Does that make sense? Another one, so that's the third one. Another one, somebody help me with time.
We got 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
So what time is
It's 45.
it? Yeah, so I actually got to get ready to stop, so I'm going to move a little bit faster because I want to open up for questions or what have you. So the next one that we do, of course, you can utilize our social media. We could do live, share the live feed on our pages or whatever the case is in social media. Another one is what we call third-party closing, 3-way calling. I use it, believe it or not, I use it with Phyllis. You know, I'd be like, hey, listen, I don't know nothing about this stuff. Here, talk to Phyllis. And Phyllis, y'all know she gonna go in. So maybe you escalate the call to your upline and you say, hey, and be honest. I'm just really getting into business. I'm super excited about it. Once you qualify them and they really want to know more, then you say, can I make a phone call? Because I want to make certain that you're taking the maximum, you're getting the maximum opportunity with what we're doing. And that's that third party close. So you take the burden off of yourself. I promise you, whoever sponsored you, they want to help you build. Does that make sense? They want to help you build. And then, again, you can send them to any of the presentations. You can send a 5-minute presentation. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think. So there's an array of opportunities for you to be heard in what we're doing. Now, I'm not finished, but I'm going to stop. And our next time together, we're going to talk about how to really do the in-home presentations, the opportunities, the one-on-ones, all the different things that we just talked about. We're going to kind of unpack it and go more into it. Are there any questions? Any questions?